G&T show is intended for mature audiences. Parental discussion is advice. Live long and prosper, bitches.
Star Trek, The Final Frontier. These are the voyages of the G&T show. Our continuing mission, to explore Star Trek storytelling, to seek out new worlds and interesting characters, to boldly go where no show has gone before.
Naomi Wildman. I was setting it up. Oh. Welcome to the G&T show, where obviously we have no script.
Yeah, let's just get this puppy started.
As always, the beautiful, the lovely, the high-booted, short-skirted, big-breasted Terry Lynn.
That would be me. Admiral Shaw.
She's badass. It's Ceridian.
Good morning. It's Sunday on the G&T show.
You know the worst part of this morning? It's not the getting up early. It's the fact they're making me wear clothes to do the show.
It's time for coffee clutch.
Strap on your helmets, boys and girls. It's gonna get rough.
Oh, it's gonna be one of those mornings.
Let me put on my seatbelt, my helmet with the little blinky light on top.
For safety.
When we decided we were going to do the G&T show, one of the things we said was no standards. G&T show does not go on the air because we're ready. It goes on the air because it's 9 o'clock on Sunday morning.
Mike could have snapped by then and killed us both. Pain sticks for Mike, evidently.
We have our production meetings on the air.
Well, it's the best way to get you to adhere to things.
Yeah, you've now set an expectation. That's the thing about the G&T show is we set no expectations.
I need more coffee.
Wow,
I'm trying to figure out whether or not I want to do general news or Star Trek news, and I figured
This is Terry having a series of small strokes, actually.
Well, it doesn't take long for this show to deteriorate, does it?
Straight the fuck downhill.
I don't always podcast, but when I do, I G&T.
Oh, hey, I'm Janine Bedlove.
Actually, I'm Brian Young.
No, be quiet, you. Did you just say you're Brian Bedlove?
No, I said Brian Young. You're hearing things.
Okay,
so
but
we
stop.
are authors.
Yes, and we wrote for Athena's Daughters and Apollo's Daughters, and you should...
Mainly Apollo's Daughters.
Namely Athena's Daughters, and you should check them out because they're awesome, and there's stories about women, and they're awesome, and we listen... What podcast is this?
We're currently not listening to the G&T podcast.
Oh, right, that one. It's Star Trek. We like Star Trek.
I thought it was gin and tonics. I thought I was going to talk booze.
Well, I'm Mormon, so no. Bye.
Perfect. Good morning, everyone. Welcome to the G&T Show, episode 134. I'm Terry Lynn.
What's up? Joe Luntrue, Gettysburg 7. Look at Terry over there. I don't know what she was doing, but who knew that a purple velvet tracksuit would look so good on somebody? That's quite the beautiful little outfit you've got going on.
Frightening.
And in honor of our the new Stowe Mirror Universe event, it's Mirror Universe Ceridium, so he's a Romulan.
Joe Luntrue? Wow. That lasted all of half a second.
Well, the station came back online and did the inverse tachyon thing and did what it did, what it done.
How are you guys doing this morning?
It's been a fucking morning.
Save that again.
It's been a fucking morning.
Thank you.
It's been crazy. You there?
I'm here.
Okay.
We're here.
Well,
If we're not saying that to be funny, people. We're saying that because things are going on where we're timing out and computers are crashing and.
Yeah, we're having some technical issues, and a lot of them are revolving actually now around my computer. For some reason, my computer crashed out of the TeamSpeak and also from the chat room. So I'm trying to relog to the chat room. I'm not sure it's worked. Oh, not yet. Not letting me sign in. I may have to go without the chat room today, guys. Sorry.
You're not really missing much. Except EF Dennis is there, and that's always,
No, and a lot of people, a lot of wonderful people in the chat room this morning.
Yeah, but Baz is there.
Oh, I love Baz.
And so is Lanny.
I know.
Lanny's there. I mean, it's been a good morning in the chat room.
And speaking of squeeing with delight, not just because Lanny's there, I want to say this morning, this is March 16th, 2014, a very happy birthday to the lovely Janice.
Happy birthday, Janice.
Happy birthday, Janice. We're very happy.
I said, remember you only turned 29 once. She said, no, it's okay. I'm turning 40 today. So she said, I really enjoy my 40s. So, okay.
Yeah.
So happy
40s
40th.
were fun.
40s are fun, except I'm going blind. I need hearing aids. My knees are going. I've had organs removed twice now. But also in my 40s, I met Lanny.
There you go.
Right on.
It all works out.
Lanny.
Yeah, I'm going to go without the chat room for a bit. So if there's something really important or somebody makes, says horrible things, don't tell me.
No, Baz is telling me, I know you love me, Nick stabs Nick. So, it's the norm.
It's the norm. Okay, cool. Gotta love them. So we're going to have, I don't want to stretch the show too far. I know we're already like a half an hour late starting the recording of the show.
Stretching it.
What was it about getting your flute bone in the Jeffries tube?
Hey, oh, hey.
What was it? Yeah.
Yesterday I told you she texts me because she's watching the original series. So This Side of Paradise she very much enjoyed, which, that's a great episode. But it's funny because one of the texts made me laugh out loud. I'm trying to watch Babylon 5 and I'm getting these texts. Let's see. Spock has become a wee bit rebellious when the spores hit him.
Janice is a master of understatement.
And she says, I like this ending. McCoy says, well, that is the second time we were kicked out of paradise. And Kirk replied, no, we walked out on our own.
Oh,
and then
wow. There you go.
Yeah, and then I talked to her this morning. She woke up at like 4 a.m, so she watched Devil in the Dark. So I was like, oh, Hornet, no kill eye.
No kill eye.
So yeah, she's coming up on some really good stuff now.
Right.
But yeah, This Side of Paradise is a great episode. I think it's underrated.
I can't even remember which one it was. Was it the one with the spraying flowers?
Yeah, the one that shot its jit all over the crew.
Yeah.
And we got to hear Mr. Leslie's voice.
The one that shot its Janai all over the place.
That's right. J is for Janai.
It shot its Janai all over the place. I can't believe we're going to use it as a euphemism for jizz. That's just hilarious. Oh, man. Crazy week. Mike, what about you? You've been crazier than all of us, than Nick and I put together.
Oh, yeah. Well, let's see. Yesterday, the website broke. Literally. So because it was my mother's birthday yesterday, and we had all of the kids over. Could not work on it until about 3 o'clock this morning. So I managed to get it working just in time for the show. But before that, let's see, what else did I do this week? I got 2 Reality's Edge stories in, my final 2 for the season. So yay.
Awesome.
Got a little bit of work done on my second anthology story, and I sent the first one to an e-zine. Hopefully they'll like it enough to publish it. We'll see.
Very cool. Congratulations. Well, regardless of how that works out, that's wonderful news that you keep, you're doing what writers are supposed to be doing, right?
Yeah, and you have so come out of your shell.
I know.
Thank you.
We're proud parents.
Couldn't have done it without you guys.
And also a late happy birthday to Mother Ceridium.
Thank you. I'll pass on your regards.
Happy birthday, Mama Sorry. Oh, that's what you know now. That's exactly what we're going to call her from now on, right?
Was there lots of Portuguese food and stuff?
Actually, no. We ordered. She's taking it. She took it easy. So
good. Oh, good. Yeah, because it's her birthday. Why should she be cooking?
Yeah, we ordered a big pizza.
I thought you were going to say you ordered a lot of Chinese food. That would have been the ultimate.
Awesome. We ordered a big pizza, and then she wanted to make a cheesecake, so she made a cheesecake.
Oh,
so
it's good stuff, isn't it?
Yeah. So
okay.
That's what she wanted.
And Nick, what did you do? Worked. Yeah, same here.
Yeah, seriously, worked. And we had an awesome, let's just say briefly, we had an awesome supplemental log that'll be up soon.
We had a fantastic supplemental log. Matter of fact, I think we can pitch it, can't we? Pitch it?
I haven't decided on what day it's coming out. I can post it as early as today, now that the website is up. So you decide when you guys want it.
What was that?
I'm trying to figure out. It matters not to me. I mean, whenever you think the website's going to be stable enough to handle it.
Matters not.
We met with Miss Janine Spenlove and Mr. Brian Young, correct?
Yes.
And I don't know why I was going to say Youngman, but whatever. And they're both involved in the project.
Take my Janine, please.
And Janine is the project manager for Athena's Daughters, which is a set of science fiction. It's a science fiction anthology and fantasy of science fiction and fantasy stories about, or the main characters of the characters are about female characters, and they're all written by female science fiction and fantasy authors. And it was the most successful anthology GoFundMe or Kickstarter that had ever been done. And it was so successful that one of the stretch goals was, if they had reached a certain amount of money, they would publish a second book called Apollo's Daughters, which was another anthology of science fiction and fantasy about women, but by male science fiction and fantasy authors. And that was achieved as well. So there's going to be 2 books coming out, Athena's Daughters and Apollo's Daughters. And we get to talk to Janine, who's the project manager, and Brian, who's one of the authors, and I want to say he's also an artist he's doing art for it too. He's just a busy man.
I think we spent maybe 10 minutes actually talking about the anthologies, but the rest of the time we were talking about everything under the sun.
Well, the Wonder Woman part of the conversation did have something to do with that, because we were talking about that women in
science fiction, comics, and fantasy. Right.
Mm-hmm.
We talked about the greater.
It was all related, yes, but they actually talking about the anthology. It was very very short, but we talked about Star Wars, Star Trek.
And there's big Star Wars and Star Trek fans too.
Yes.
I mean, these guys cosplay.
We talked about Batman and Superman and Arrow, and I mean, it was all over the place.
It was awesome. So
they're great. They're great.
To check out, and definitely we'll have to check out the anthologies once they come out.
Yes, I donated to the Kickstarter.
I did not. I was too late. I did not hear what was going on until after the show.
Some of the authors, our audience is familiar with David R. George III, David Mack.
There's a
list in front of me. Yeah. But you listen to it and you'll hear Brian talks about what David R. George III wrote without giving anything away, and it sounds very exciting.
Oh yeah.
Yeah. Some of the short stories sound really amazing.
Yeah.
So I'm very excited to read them both. I think it's going to be wonderful.
They had said the first anthology was like almost 150,000 words. I mean, that's like phenomenal.
Yeah, but that's great because I know that there are a lot of the stories in it. So even if there's a couple of short stories that only reach 10 or 10,000 words or so. I mean, that's fantastic. That's great reading to me. You know me, I always like the short stories better anyway. I like the anthologies. My favorite Star Trek book still to this day, as much as I love Vanguard, my favorite books will always be the short stories because you get that emotional punch that you don't necessarily, it's more concentrated. You know what I mean? It's like eating concentrated juice. It's powerful. Okay, I'm sorry.
No.
Oh, shall we jump to Star Trek news? Are we good?
Yes. Do we have any confirmation?
Did you talk about your week, Terry?
I worked and I went, and part of that was I had an overnight trip to San Francisco.
How was that?
It was a good business meeting. I was glad that I went, and you know how San Francisco is. If you get there and you're there for a business meeting, it ends up being a trip about food. So I felt like all I did was eat. And the flights were a little funky on the way home. It was a long, long day coming home. Both my boss and I were beat to hell on Thursday afternoon when we flew back, and we got back just before the when we talked with Janine Spenlove and Brian Young. So I was I was just a little bit down by the time the conversation started, but they were both so exciting that it was easy to gain that energy back again. They were so much fun to talk to. But other than that, it's just been getting used to working in an office again, getting used to that life.
Right on.
Star Trek news. I am so proud to be a talkie geek.
We've got our problems with the film, which we'll get into on our dopey little podcast and nitpick it to death.
Star Trek news.
So congratulations to the always dreamy David Mack.
There's Legos?
No.
Star Trek news.
Yes, the story behind the story. The movie that never was made.
They got a Klingon.
I know.
Sold.
That's right. I'm gonna throw in a Buck Mackay rookie card. That's right. A Buck Mackay for people. It doesn't get any bigger than this.
Star Trek news. Hey, we have unconfirmed reports this morning through the social media, and you know how social media is. They're so unreliable that you don't know if somebody's telling you the truth.
Yeah,
so we're in the midst.
Leonard Nimoy died like 5 times last year.
Exactly, and that's kind of what we're dealing with this morning, but with Brian Bonsall.
Okay, who's that?
He played Alexander Rozhenko,
and he was also on Family Ties.
Right, he played Andy Keaton, the little boy in Family Ties. Now, the word floating around the internet is that he was found dead in a hotel this morning. And it wouldn't necessarily be a surprising thing because Mr. Bonsall has had his fair share of run-ins with the law and drug problems. Whether or not this is true, has a lot to be confirmed. Like I said, the only thing we're hearing it on are these social media sites. There's been no verification of it in any news outlet yet. So it's possible that somebody just started yet another rumor about Alexander Rozhenko dying. You never know. So if we get confirmation on that, we'll let you guys know. But for right now, as far as I know, he's still alive and doing well. However, who's had a bad day? Who's had a bad week? And who's gonna get a tongue lashing?
What did I do?
That would be Mr. Christopher Pine.
Yeah.
What happened?
He was arrested for drunk driving in New Zealand, and he appears this morning in court for his arraignment. He was in New Zealand.
Chris.
I know. I'm like really disappointed.
I'm really
disappointed.
Really?
In him.
And what kind of role model? Well, wait a minute. This is a new track.
No. He's
He's a bright young star.
He is a bright young star, and it's ticking me off. And I'm there I came, but I'm back in the chat room. Huzzah! So the link there is to Chris Pine being charged with DUI. Now, unlike the American media outlets, the New Zealand, but it looks like they don't give us what his blood alcohol content was, because of course that's content that would be used against him in his criminal trial.
Right.
But
still better than Matthew Broderick, vehicular manslaughter in Ireland.
It's just, but you know what? It's bad enough. I mean, it's such a problem.
The legal limit in New Zealand is 0.08. What is it?
Here,
it's 0.08 here. It's the same.
Okay, so it's the same.
So
okay.
The thing with the drunk driving is it's such an easy one to not do.
Avoid.
Yeah.
Exactly. As much as I may not like the films, I like him.
Yeah.
And that's what's bothering me. Is like, damn it. You know, why? I guess I just don't understand. Especially
and
somebody
his
who
father
could probably
is the
afford
captain
to
on
find
Chips.
I talk about a guy who can totally afford the cab ride. I'm just telling you.
Yeah.
That's what I think ticks me off.
Even in the money conversion. And let's face it, he's Chris Pine. There's any number of women willing to give him a ride. And guys.
I'm just saying, the guy can totally afford the cab fare. Oh my gosh, Baz says that it's 0.05 in Australia.
I mean, his father's going to kick his... Oh, no, his father's dead now, isn't he? Damn it.
Yeah.
Because I was going to say his father's the captain on Chips.
Is he?
Yeah, he was the...
No. I was more...
He was Punch and John's boss.
I didn't realize he passed away.
I think he did. I'm not sure. Maybe he's not. I want to say I heard he had, but that could have been just somebody trolling me.
That's true. Never know.
Because, I was actually having a discussion about Chips with somebody, which just tells you how that day was going, that Chips was a discussion.
What's wrong with Chips?
Now you're trolling me.
I like it with salsa.
It was a show of its time. It definitely pegged you for an era, didn't it?
Chips, Dukes of Hazzard, Knight Rider.
I remember growing up on all those shows.
I remember throwing up on all those shows. Oh, hey, oh. Oh, he's alive. He still works. Thank you, Paul. Thank you, Captain. Well, now he's going to be in New Zealand kicking his son's ass.
Yeah, I hope so.
You know what's going to happen, though? He's going to get the Shatner look.
Oh.
Yeah, and the Nimoy. Oh. How... Okay, it's not like he's not as close, because Nimoy's really close with Zachary Quinto. But can you imagine getting the phone call from either Leonard Nimoy or William Shatner where they're disappointed in you?
Oh, no. I really could.
Right?
I really couldn't. That's like
I think I'd be more scared of the Nimoy call.
Do you think there'll be like public service announcements where it says you do not live long and prosper when you drink and drive?
Oh, I don't know, but he probably would be a good person to do those kind of announcements because that would be a good one.
Well, moving on from our disappointment, our severe disappointment.
It's your fault, JJ. You know whose fault it is? It's President Obama's fault. That's how everything on the net goes.
I know, isn't it?
This jet is... Oh, okay. This jet is in the Delta Quadrant. That's all I'm going to say. With Amelia Earhart.
That's probably the most reasonable thing I've heard
With
yet.
Amelia Earhart.
With Amelia Earhart. Oh, my God. It's part of the
39s.
Yeah. Except it's not 39, but okay.
No.
Oh, Lanny, that's good. It would be like Picard's speech in The First Duty.
Oh.
That's what we need. We need fucking Patrick Stewart
to come and give him a verbal tongue lashing.
with Ian McKellen, Sir Ian McKellen, just standing over his shoulder and just like shaking his head slowly in disappointment.
So if you cannot find it within yourself, you don't deserve to fly that starship. Oh my God, too funny, too funny. Well, moving on, for those who live anywhere near the Mall of America, that big ass shopping center, I think.
Hi, Generations Geek.
In where is it? It's not Missouri.
Minneapolis.
Minnesota.
Minnesota.
Yeah.
That's it. It's
say
a colder
Missouri?
one. It's an M state. Sorry, there's a big joke about M states.
Just take a second to just think about it.
That's why I said it's not in Missouri. It's the one up above it, right?
Oh my
Minnesota.
God. Oh my God.
I know. Either way, Star Trek, the experience, or I should say the exhibition, is now at the Mall of America. So, sorry, Matthew Anderson just posted the greatest picture ever in the chat room. It's Tommy Lee Jones in a... When something is so fucking retarded and full of proper face palm is not even necessary. It's an implied face palm. That's awesome.
And Baz just put a clip up, and I haven't hit it but damn, what episode's that? Because look at Troy.
Oh,
wow.
That's Menage a Troy.
Yeah, wow, look at Troy.
That's the one where he has to save Loxana from the Ferengi.
Look, Troy actually gets to show some leg in that episode, not be all cocooned and some.
It's the Picard song.
Oh, that's
is it the Picard
right.
Song? That's what the video is.
That's funny. Again, if
Star
you
Trek,
live in Minnesota or nearby and you want to see what is the roving exhibition of Star Trek stuff, go see it, because Alan and I were lucky to see it when it was still Star Trek the Tour, which never really took off, right? It was still the Star Trek the Tour only appeared in one location before it divided itself up and moved into a
See, I got to go to the experience.
Well, this isn't the experience. This is the exhibition,
but I got to go to that. So that
it's a very, very cool thing, and it's got a lot of great costumes and props and like mini documentaries and panels on the making of all the forms of Star Trek. Very, very cool exhibit. So go check it out. Again, it's at the Mall of America. William Shatner.
What happened? He pulled a Malaysian air flight with Twitter.
What?
Yeah, he did.
What?
You don't know about this?
What did he do?
He disappeared entirely from Twitter.
Yeah, he completely
closed his account.
And then like 6 hours later reopened it.
People people have that love-hate relationship with Twitter. They do. Let's face it. People are like, done. I'm done with you.
There were people in mourning.
Huh?
There were people in mourning. Starfleet Mom blogged about it.
That's funny.
Twice.
Yeah, twice.
Well, I'm glad that he's back. He's appearing this weekend at the Planet Comic Con convention in Kansas City. And there's a great little article and actually an interview with him, one of the local papers or the local websites called Pitch. Give that a good read because, again, it's not Kentucky. Where is it? Planet Comic Con. Oh, sorry. It's in Kentucky. It's why I thought KC.
Oh, that's the one in Lexington?
It's the one in Lexington.
Yeah, a lot of the cosplayers I follow are there.
Yeah. Yeah, Planet Comic Con. And I'm getting this confused. William Shatner's moderating the Star Trek Next Generation panel at this weekend's Planet Comic Con, and that's in Kansas City. I'm getting all confused. Yes, it's in Kansas City. Yes? Somebody help me here.
Oh, no, we're going to let you flounder on this one.
No, it's in Kansas City. Done.
Because you're confusing me, and I know Mike is furiously Googling.
Well, all I did was click on the link on that page, and
the problem is he's making a lot of appearances. And the other one, he will be at the Lexington Comic and Toy Convention, and that's this weekend.
Yes,
in
that's
Lexington.
the one that like Destiny Nicholson and Annie Mia and a bunch of the cosplayers I follow are at. Nicole Marie Jean.
Okay, so while he'll be, there's an interesting little article while he's going to be hosting, and he's going to be moderating the Next Gen panel at the Kansas City Planet Comic Con. This weekend he's at the Lexington Comic Con, and there's a great interview with him in Kentucky.com because he's also very, very he's a horseman. And
Did you notice the new Priceline commercial? They've worked in his horseback riding.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I mentioned that to Alan right off the bat, and I said, "Wow, he found a way to get on a horse."
Yep,
that's great.
That was my first thought too. Was wow, how many years now, and he's finally on the horse.
It's true.
Speaking of which, I gotta say, watching The Big Bang Theory this week, it breaks the heart a little to see Kaylee Kawako has a hyphenated last name now that she's married, but Penny still has no last name, so it's okay.
Yeah, that's right. Well, there's another article that was actually released at the beginning of the year, and I thought it was kind of interesting that I know we had touched on it once before, we had heard rumors about it, but for some reason I didn't actually see the breakdown of the information, and we had talked about it at the beginning of the year, where there was rumor or there was innuendo that Star Trek's, the movies, the new movies, they always go through that process of it starts with one story and then those get scrapped and tossed around and thrown out. And what it would have been had it involved the Romulan War. And Giant Freaking Robot, I had no idea, back in January had an actual breakdown of what that script was. They actually had the script. So I'm going to put the link in there now. If you guys want to know what the movie could have been, what the new Star Trek reboot could have been, give that a read. It's a really long article and it goes in depth into the facts or into the script that was written that would have involved one of Kirk's ancestors and their involvement in the Romulan War. Kind of a shame, actually. I think I would have enjoyed that.
It seemed like it would have been fun.
We haven't heard a word from Nick. He's either in mourning or he's angry.
Reading.
Please, don't get silly.
Our good friends John and Maria Tenuto, who many Star Trek fans know as being the Star Trek professors, they're sociology instructors at the College of Lake County, are actually going to be giving 2 presentations based on their Star Trek research on March 27th at Lake Forest College. So if you happen to be near Cook Memorial Library, give me a place, give me a state, people. Grays Lake and Gurney. See, I love the fact that local papers automatically assume only the locals read them.
Yeah.
I think it's Illinois.
Especially in today's day and age.
I know. I think it's Illinois, but I'm not sure. I'm not going to step on it. But if you happen to be in that area and want to attend one of the Tenutos.
Yeah, it's in the Chicago Tribune, so.
Is it? Okay,
That's the
thank
link
you.
You just sent.
Well, hun, I wasn't looking at the link. I was looking at the title on the page, right? Which says Trib Local, but how many Tribs do I know?
No, I know. I'm just saying. I'm looking at the link. It's the Chicago. Oh, hey.
It's true.
Ellen,
okay, either way.
Control your woman.
I know. I'm tired. It's been a week. So go on March 27th, a talk on sociology and anthropology students for the Lake Forest College. They will present the history of Star Trek from concept to screen. The Tenuto, he's a great, great storyteller. He's not just a professor who drones on. This guy is awesome to listen to. He's done lectures at many Star Trek conventions, including the Las Vegas Con. I highly recommend you guys to see him.
He's not the one that did that. Janice went to his stuff last year, is it?
He might have been one of them.
She did all this. Remember, she was squeeing because she was going to all this, like the science, the real science
ones. It's
possible
that Tenuto was one of them, yeah.
Yeah, I don't know. I'll have to ask her. Or she'll let me know after she listens to this.
Yeah.
So why haven't you told me yet, Janice? I'm waiting for that text. She listens to this at work.
StarTrek.com has a couple of great little articles. Again, Tim Russ, we all know, played Tuvok in Star Trek Voyager, has finished, or they were touting his directorial skills in a spoof called Cavity, which was a spoof of Gravity.
Oh, God.
I know.
Jesus.
I'm sorry, I'm laughing. But it was nominated for the parody award show, the Oscars. It did not win Best Picture, or Best Parody, but it was nominated for Best Parody.
I want to see Gravity done with Muppets, with Miss Piggy. Say, Terry's gone now because she's going to be thinking of that for the rest of the morning.
Actually, I think it's Alan. Yeah, it's a great little article on Tim Russ. Okay, there are some, let me make sure I get this. There's also a fantastic new series of columns that will be published at StarTrek.com, written by Marie-Pierre Renaud, and she's a PhD student of anthropology at Laval University in Quebec, Canada. And she's going to be writing a multi-column series on the Geek Girl phenomena. I don't want to call it phenomena, but just on Geek Girls. And that's probably what she's really talking about, is that Geek Girls are not as rare as you think they are. And she's also, in the future, I understand, going to be touching on the quote-unquote fake Geek Girl scandals or controversies that tend to pop their ugly heads up every so often. So pay attention to StarTrek.com. Part 1 of her series is already live, and I'm not sure how many weeks that her columns will be making an appearance, but excited to see that StarTrek.com is kind of branching out a little bit with some of their guest writers. Put that in the chat room.
Lanny.
Okay, did you guys see these? Okay, you know the books the Haynes.
I'm sorry, Lanny just
Haynes
gave me
manual?
a visual that's making me laugh so hard.
You know the Haynes manuals for
Yes.
the ships? Did you guys see the puzzles?
Yep.
Yes.
I think they're so cool. Get a Klingon bird of prey or the USS Enterprise Haynes manual 1,000-piece jigsaw puzzle. I love it.
Seems
and I like them
the
because
marketing
they're kind of
dollars have
monochrome.
stepped up.
What?
Seems like the marketing dollars have stepped up. The licensing.
I'm thinking that, when Mr. Van Sitters said last year that they were increasing the marketing, I don't want to say the marketing material, but the marketing material, the stuff, right? The stuff you can buy that has Star Trek on it. We're finally starting to see that flood of items and the licenses that are being sold, so people, like Haynes, can make 1,000-piece jigsaw puzzles.
Oh, there's still one I'm
Bye
waiting
Bye
for.
Robot can sell posters or T-shirts, or there's just a lot of really cool stuff has been out lately, and I'm having a very good time. And one of those things happens to be this really cute shirt. It's a poster. It's a graphic poster of like a comic book version of DS9 with Cisco and then the entire crew on it. You can have it on a T-shirt. You can buy the poster. Put the link
There's
to that
still
in the
one
chat
thing
room
I'm
as well.
waiting for.
Star Trek Lego. There was Creo. Why would they sell a license to I'm sure that there's some kind of can't sell the license to Lego.
I'm not going to impugn any product, but you have the gold standard and then everything else.
I know. But it was Creo.
No, and that's great. Oh, Ali Mac is here.
Good, because I think Ali Mac should be here because it's his Facebook page that may be giving us our second half of the show today. Okay, let's briefly talk
about what? You Skyped out.
Star Trek Online.
I want to play Star Trek Online.
Engineering here. Warp engines are online.
Course laid in, Captain.
Engage.
Your ship.
Warning. Ship is under attack.
Your crew.
Move out.
Your destiny.
All right. Now, the mirror invasion event in Star Trek Online is now live.
Fun.
It is fun, isn't it? I did it for the first time yesterday. I had a good time.
And for a Pew-Pew, it is a lot of fun. And I'll tell you, the difference, Caspian did it. I know it's done it a couple of times. I did it a run-through with the fleet. And the difference was working with people that are talking and doing things together. Now, I've done it with some pugs that did not go so well. And then I did it with another group of pugs that we just nailed it. I mean, it was awesome in the nailing of the mirror universe.
Maybe
so
that's why I don't like it, is because I've been running with bugs.
I have to admit, now, here's a question for you, Michael, too. I don't know. Nick, are you playing it on the Elite?
Every time.
See, I didn't. I played it on the regular because really, I don't know what the difference is.
Rewards.
But at the end, you still get 50,000 dilithium, 500 fleet marks, 250 marks of your choice, and a very rare duty officer, right?
As long as you collect the 14 transporter things.
Right. So there you go, Mike. Trust me. I did it on the lower version, on the non-elite version, and I had a blast. We got it done, and I'm still going to get
How many marks are you getting per round?
50.
Yeah, see, that's not bad because I'm getting in the 70s on elite. So I mean, it's not that huge.
I'm getting 30 if I'm lucky on the elite. That's how much fun I'm having.
Okay, all right. Mike's getting agitated. I can hear it in his voice. Mm-hmm. Yeah, put your down.
No, he can carry his batleth if he wants to.
I said his.
But yeah, I was not
blood pie,
enjoying
Mike?
myself at all.
Yeah.
Just bad teams and just constantly dying and nobody doing anything and just I don't know. I don't get it. Every time I've done this particular one, I have never been involved in a successful run. So I don't.
Mike, you got to get on with Caspian and we'll get a group together so you can be a success.
I usually only have a very tiny window to play, and Caspian. Well, everyone drags their feet. I'm sad to say.
Not on this they haven't been because people want the transporter things because it's only like a 3-week event and you have to get 14. So
yeah, but if everyone's done it before I arrived or
right, that's the way I was yesterday. I got it and everybody had already done it.
Yes,
if I only have 15 minutes to run it,
you need more than that though.
Well, usually I only have a very small window, and so usually let's get this done over with and I can get back to other things. And and it usually takes us us way longer to set up teams. So it's like, yeah. So I'm not having fun.
Oh, I'm sorry.
No, I'm the
sorry.
one that's sorry.
I had a good time yesterday. I did not run it on Elite. I lived through the whole damn thing. We were successful in driving them off, and we had a good time. I had a good time. I got 50 fleet marks out of it.
I will tell you how I knew I was having fun. I actually got blown up in it once, and I realized it had been so long since I had blown up doing something that I was like, wow, how'd that happen?
Matthew Anderson, very good, very good find.
Yeah, I got one-shotted by the Mirror Universe Dreadnought.
Yeah.
I got one-shotted. The Gettysburg got one-shotted.
See, but I was flying my Fleet Galaxy X Dreadnought.
Yeah, see, I was flying.
I was having
flying
fun.
my freaking Odyssey that's all repped out and everything, and I didn't even have a chance to react.
You just get if your shields are even remotely down.
Yeah.
For people who are in the chat room right now, Matthew Anderson just posted a video of the Star Trek Online Earth Spacedock new interior preview, which is now live on the Tribble, which is of course the beta server, the beta test server. This is an unfinished product. Not everything is done, but personally, Nick, have you seen it in person yet? Do you download Tribble at all?
Do you know what it would do to my bandwidth to download Tribble right
Yeah,
now?
that's kind of what I thought. I thought, you know what, Nick probably hasn't seen it. What about you, Mike?
I saw screenshots. That's it.
Yeah,
I saw some amazing screenshots.
I ran around it the day before yesterday, and I was in heaven. I'm loving this new Earth Spacedock. I know that our good friend Black Magnum hates it, but there's always one, right?
Well, because he said that there were consoles floating in the air and stuff. So
well, again, it's a beta. It's a product.
You're just
beta,
picking
so
on
you
Magnum
still got NPCs whose legs are caught in the floor.
Yeah.
But it's the first time the map's been released, and the map is, as far as I'm concerned, it's gorgeous. I like the fact that it's not just one big circle. I like the fact that you kind of have to relearn an entire new interior, but I also love the look of it. It looks like you're in a Watchtower space station.
How is this going to affect the tutorial they just finished and released?
That's a really good question. I have no idea. I really don't have any clue. Now, I'm hearing that this is all going to be coming out with season 9.
Instead of redoing the interior of the space dock, I wish they had done. They would do something about the fucking idiots that hang out there now.
You'll never be able to deal with it. That's like with every MMO, though. There's always the social zone where the 12-year-old and mental 12-year-olds hang out and talk about everything that, inflame.
There are some real idiots out there.
Yeah, there are. There really are. It's sad and pathetic. We just ignore them. Because to do anything else would just be to drag yourself down to that level. And it's just, I have better things to do with my life than worry about somebody else's
Don't insult
idiocy.
me. I have to pull myself up to their level.
No, you don't. But the Mirror Invasion event is great, and if you do happen to have Tribble up and going, give yourself a treat. Loaded up patch. It's a big ass patch. There's a lot of stuff going on, and give that
Terry,
a look.
with the Mirror Universe, you must have been just gushing when you heard that voice.
Oh, but I was very happy.
He's everywhere.
He is.
Is he cloned?
No, I think that's the beauty of being a voiceover artist, is you can stay in one place and then be heard everywhere.
No, I mean Obisek. He's in the Tholian. He's in the event you can do. What is it? The one where you're fighting the Tholians because they're putting the web around the station. He's in this event.
Yeah, I don't know. I think that.
Well, you have to keep in mind. Look at our captains. Our captains are literally everywhere as well. So I mean, it's only makes sense that NPCs would get around. I mean, how many times has the Enterprise F, showed up and saved someone's bacon?
Yeah, but that's only in that one. That's only in the new Romulus system. Obisek
is it only in the new Romulus?
That's the only time I've seen the Enterprise F show up like that.
Oh no,
it was also in the DS9 series.
Right in the 2800.
Yeah.
Yeah, but that was a while ago. Plus, that's Captain What's His Face.
That's bad.
What?
Lenny, don't make me laugh. Well, now that Ali Mac is here, he gives me, and we're talking about Star Trek Online, I think it gives me a good opportunity to kind of cross over and we can discuss what Mr. Ali Mac posted on his Facebook page this morning, which is a great topic of conversation, I think, and that is, I guess Ali Mac, have either one of you played his Foundry mission called the Mains of the Balnor Moon, or the Mains of Balnor? Yeah, that's it, the Mains of the Balnor Moon.
Most likely, probably.
It's the
I'm
one
sure.
where you kind of go down onto a kind of like an asteroid, and there's missing Federation officers, and when you get down there, you find out that there's this guy who's you're not quite sure if he's mentally unstable and a psychopathic murderer, because people start. It's like a creepy episode, or if he's the victim of some kind of a religious type of thing. But either way, you have to make a choice as a player to determine whether or not you're going to saddle this guy with that idea of being mentally unstable, and you don't know, because again, in science fiction, you can kiss it off to a couple of other things too, alien possession being one of them. And got a review from one of the players that said that his mission kind of sucked because there was no, where was the battle, man, right? And you could tell just by the way he posted this on his Facebook page that he was a bit frustrated by this attitude. And it's something that we talked about and have talked about with Boundary missions and with Star Trek writing to begin with, that somehow and what Ali Mack had said is, God, is he watching the same Star Trek? Oh, that's what it was. The reviewer said that it wasn't a Star Trek enough Foundry because there was no battle, that every Star Trek episode needs to have some form of battle, or else it's just not Star Trek. That's what I wanted to talk to you about. Since when? Or do you think that has just been the evolution of Star Trek with Voyager? With the advent of Voyager, it seems like every Voyager...
No, it would have been the advent of DS9.
I don't think so. I have to disagree with that.
There's a whole lot of Bajoran episodes based on the Bajoran faith and things going on there with no space battles whatsoever.
But the Dominion War, which was towards the entire end of DS9's run, so that would have probably set the precedent.
But that is also the same time as the Voyager's run starting.
Yeah, I guess that's true. I guess that is true.
And I guess my question is we have to acknowledge that Star Trek started to roll back into that it has to have a battle in every episode thing. And therefore, does Star Trek have to have a battle in it to be Star Trek?
I'm not saying this is a flame, or is this more of since 2009 when it became Star Wars Trek?
I don't know. Maybe I don't know. I really don't know. I mean, I think about it and I look back on even Enterprise, right? So that was the television series that came out in heck the 21st century. It was after 9/11. It was a show that started at the beginning of the first decade. And although the first couple of seasons, which to me were some of the most brilliant Star Trek writing ever done, because they talked about controversial issues and everything from race to religion to politics to medicine and ethics and all of that, people hated, right? That's why Enterprise took such a huge level of hate from the fandoms. Oh, it's just bullshit. It's bullshit. But the moment that they started the Xindi arc, people started to pay attention. And the Xindi arc had battle in every fucking episode.
Well, Star Trek from the beginning has always had some form of battle. I mean, in TOS, in TOS, we had, it was mostly man versus himself, or
true.
So there was always some form of battle or confrontation. It wasn't pew-pew. And I think that we should make that distinction, that what this particular individual wanted was more the pew-pew variety rather than the more esoteric, variety where it's man versus himself, or man versus the universe as a whole, or whatever the alien of the week is.
I just thought it was an interesting kind of reminder. I really had to sit down and think about it and go, you know what? The majority of fans, especially any fan that is younger than, say, 30, probably does think that Star Trek has battle in every episode. And I'm wondering if it's just the TNG fans, the ones that, came through the advent of a more politically correct bent on and analysis on social issues, that don't necessarily associate Star Trek with pew-pew. And are we, that dying, or maybe just we're just an unusual pocket of fandom. I don't know. I mean, even TOS, you brought it up, Michael. In TOS, there's still a focus on, hey, if there weren't shooting their phasers from the Enterprise, Kirk was duking it out with somebody and getting a ripped shirt, right?
That he was.
And
even on those occasions when he wasn't even doing that, he was still, going head to head with himself, trying to figure out. I'm reading, These Are the Voyages, and it's something that I've noticed come up time and time again. More often than not, it's Kirk, dealing with trying to figure out how to deal with the problem. Him wrestling his conscience. And it's almost like today's day and age, people just don't want to deal with their own conscience. They would want to just fight with somebody other than themselves.
Well played. I totally agree with you. I think that's part of the reason why we have so much internet rage right now. Is just people are...
Well, look, these are the same kind of people that complain when a Walking Dead episode doesn't have... when it's all character-based and people are talking and you're learning things about the characters, and they're like, it's supposed to be about zombies. Zombie shows are never about the zombies. They are about the survivors.
Exactly. Yes, it's about the characters and how they deal with the crap that's being thrown at them.
Exactly. Some of the best stuff that's been going on lately.
Are the ones that don't have any zombies in it, or one zombie throughout the whole episode.
Right. Like, the recent episodes with Beth and Daryl, where we're learning more about these two characters because they're sitting there talking, and we find out about Daryl, how he grew up and everything. The zombie in that one was secondary. It actually was. It was when it showed up, he was raging at Beth because he doesn't want to be close to anybody. So the zombie was like the excuse for him to take it out on. But it wasn't about them killing zombies.
I totally agree. Lanny in the chat room says she thinks the problem is that shooty loving assholes tend to be far louder in their hate than the average talk-friendly fan, and it tends to create an imbalance in the feedback. Well, that's an internet-wide issue. People who are angry are, by their essence, louder, or feel that they need to offload that opinion, where people who are more comfortable in their opinions and have nothing to quote-unquote prove don't even bother venting because they don't feel the need to. So the majority of people who are on the internet raging are the people who have no other avenue, I guess, of outletting that rage. Be that as it may, as a fan of science fiction and as a fan specifically of Star Trek and the television shows, does the evolution of Star Trek itself actually kind of shows that it started off as this shooty, went into a much more cerebral type of writing, and then through DS9 and especially into Voyager, started to show the cycle again decades later of what sold advertising was the shooty, and they weren't able to evolve Enterprise fast enough to save it. And I think that's something that we as fans of good storytelling have always had a difficult time, is battling the people with ADHD. And I don't mean that, I'm talking that in a general aspect. People who don't have the tolerance for thinking. And I don't want to insult people with ADHD because that's a completely different issue. But people who choose not to expend any effort on improving their own psychological, depth, I guess I want to say. Like, I don't want to do that. It's easier for people to be shooting.
With Counselor Troy.
I was just disappointed. I felt bad for Ali Mac because the Baines, the Foundry mission that he's talking about, which I believe is a Spotlight Foundry mission in Star Trek Online right now, is a really great episode. Not only is it an homage to a lot of horror genre, because it's really creepy and it's like being in a faraway remote outpost that a small group of people is dealing with one individual who, not unlike The Shining, right, kind of goes off his rocker. And it's really creepy. It's a really creepy episode. And I thought it was so well written. And, he's a master of creating
I need to call out somebody in our chat room.
Uh-oh, what?
Cass Modine says, and by season 3, Archer was willing to waterboard any alien he came across. Thank God for Manny Kodo. Okay, first, yes, thank God for Manny Kodo. I'm not going to argue with that.
There he goes, folks.
No, I'm sorry. First of all, you're dealing with pre-Federation. They just come out of a war. All this shit's going on. And then the Xindi cut a swath from Florida all the way through Cuba and kill how many people? No matter how, and this is where Terry and I will disagree, human nature is, I'm going to kick your ass. And the waterboarding, which was actually putting him in an airlock, rang true for anybody in that situation. You've got the planet is basically...
You're going to laugh. I didn't disagree with him.
Yeah, the planet is basically on a timeline. There's no time to sit down and have some Earl Grey and discuss it nicely.
It wasn't, and that's why it was written the way that it was. I don't think that it shows showed a failure on Archer's behalf. I think it showed a reflection of what we as a lot of humanity was dealing with at that time. Is this, what is crossing that line? It's always a great thing to talk about. If we can keep the conversation going about what is that line, where do we lose our humanity? And that's what Archer was doing. He had found a way to kind of cross that line and say, and he did. That was the story of Archer. Archer starts off as this optimistic, great explorer who ends up being no better than the people who were suckered into, and again, the Xindi themselves were suckered into doing what they were doing because they felt that their own life was at risk, right? Not unlike what was going on with the American and international politics at the time. That's why I adore Enterprise, is because it opened up that conversation and it allowed you to see both sides of a story, which is what Star Trek is so phenomenal at doing. The problem was that people were still so raw and so angry after 9/11 that they weren't ready to see the other side yet. And while I thought it was great.
Wait, what, to see the other side of what happened on 9/11?
The conversation was started, and it starts, why? It's like, a Starfleet captain would never put somebody in an airlock. I'm bullshit.
Yeah,
of course
I know,
he
right?
would. Exactly. No, I totally think
I'm sorry. The original series Kirk would it pushed.
Absolutely.
If the Xindi thing had been a toss thing, I could see Kirk doing that.
I don't.
And Spock trying to stop him.
You know what, though? I think that's what I have to say. I think that's what would happen is I think that Kirk would stop himself. Kirk would get all the way there, but they would have written it out to where he wouldn't have had to have done it. You know what I mean? They would have gotten that person all the way there and then had that character wimp out right before he got put into the airlock and break down. And so Kirk was never really forced to make that decision. Archer took it to that next step.
Because the guy thought Archer was a joke.
Right. He put that guy in there. And you know what? To be honest with you, again, he never had to push the button, right?
And the other side of it is, how did the Enterprise crew react when Archer was doing this? They were appalled. So it's not like they were all cheering him on.
No. And again, I think that is what I like about his characters, that we see his character do that downward spiral where he loses himself. He's, like I said before, I hate him. I hate him because he makes every choice that Picard never would, right? Enterprise is my second favorite show, precisely because of that.
But I'm sure his son would have a much cooler name.
I get to see the storytelling development of a person I cannot stand. And that's saying something because you know how I am about the prevalence of anti-heroes in television shows. And that he's a guy he's an anti-hero. He is a guy who loses his humanity. And in doing so, he kind of regains it towards the end, but that's what people were talking about. I
would have liked to have seen Enterprise continue on and see him further develop, try to redeem himself.
I agree. He never got and that's what my heartbreak is.
Paul brings up a good point. Janeway did stuff like that. Remember the Equinox crew?
Yeah.
But there's not. But people don't bring that up. They talk about her schizophrenia because, she was written extremely schizophrenic. But Paul brings up a good point.
But doesn't that make sense for the time, too? She was written extremely schizophrenic because Berman and Braga were trying to write that evolution of, okay, we've had politically correct. DS9 is, for the most part, very politically correct. It really is. Until the very end, when the fashion of what was selling in Star Trek was, okay, we need to increase the Pew-Pew here because that's what's selling right now. And they had that crossover of a few years with Voyager. Voyager starts off in that same vein with DS9 and progressively gets more schizophrenic because they're really starting to push, the conflict, all of that stuff that Ronald Moore was bitching and moaning about not getting to have, and why he left Star Trek and started to do Battlestar Galactica, and why all of that started to get really, really popular. Why? Was because that's what the American populace was feeding from. It's like, ooh, we want this deep conflict. We want this pew-pew. We want this fighting. We want this anger. And you can see it evolve through how Star Trek moves. And it goes from this pure, rational, logical, wonderfully done, TNG. And we can't really even count TOS because because it was 30 years beforehand. And it starts off with this very politically correct, very cerebral, very talkative, very analyzing scripts into 20 years later Enterprise, which is an action-packed, high-definition, CG-filled Pew-Pew fest that comes throughout the evolution.
I don't totally agree with that. I mean, based on what I'm reading in These Are the Voyages, sorry to keep bringing that up, but Mark Crispin's work on that is phenomenal. Check it out if you haven't yet. Sorry for the plug.
No, good plug. I was just going to say good plug.
But in that book, I'm seeing that, with TOS, it was really, they were constantly being pushed. We need more action. We need more adventure. We need this. And Roddenberry was fighting him, NBC and tooth and nail the entire time.
Right, but look at what happens after he died.
Well, exactly. Roddenberry was what was kind of holding it all back, was keeping it at bay, trying to do what he wanted, what his vision was. And then after we lost them, all that went out the window, and the networks won.
And Terry, we have to remember what Berman said. And
that's what I was talking about, is what did the networks want? The networks wanted something that sold. And what was selling? It was mindless pew-pew. And I do mean the word mindless, all right? It's easy to pay attention to, and it's the same crap that you guys, as being fans of The Walking Dead, are getting, is the pressure from the outside to increase the gore, to increase the violence, to increase the quote-unquote the pew-pew aspect of it. It is a direct conflict with the writing aspect, and that is the interpersonal play of, how do you remain a good person throughout all of this?
And that's something Arrow does very well, I think.
And like science fiction, comic book heroes and superheroes allow for that, a freer discussion of that. But you have to remember is that Arrow still isn't a player in the ratings game.
No, you're right.
It really isn't. It's a genre show that really does speak to a very core group of people. It's making money because it's not expensive, theoretically, in the bigger scheme of things. It's not as expensive as, say, Almost Human. And it's just not a ratings player. And it's constant. Whether or not Arrow will survive because the CW has a great grasp on its market share. And
plus, I think, and we've talked about that, but one of the things I think is you talked about targeted demographics, is they have specifically targeted demographics. So while it might be overall ratings like show 113 out of 120, in their demographics, they're like in the top 25 for what they're looking for to say to advertisers, these are the numbers we were trying to reach, and these are the numbers we're reaching. Whereas Star Trek, I think, always looked for a far more general audience.
I think that maybe, and it's both. And Dory brings up a fantastic idea. We also have to understand is that, Roddenberry himself was involved in the original series and in TNG. I would also like to see, now that you're reading These Are the Voyages, Mike, by the time we get to season 3, I bet you we will see a mini version of this entire evolution.
Oh, yeah.
Just within that one series.
Because he wasn't even in the day-to-day running anymore.
Right. Roddenberry was involved in the first, season. He was involved a little bit in the second season. He was not there at all for the third season. He was gone. And I would like to say...
It became Gene Coon, right?
And mark my word, I bet if I went back and I looked at it, I would say that I bet that a lot of the writing, and it did too. That season 3, they pulled back from the deep, meaningful conversations. They pulled back from, well, with the exception of a couple that were overtly.
Well, yeah, I was going to say, because you've got the empath. Let that be your
last battlefield,
or the empath.
Well, the empath was, they were pulling cash out of Star Trek, like crazy, and they couldn't tell any other story. It seemed like.
Yeah, that's true too. They were budget constrained, but I'm wondering too the types of story. I'll have to look back on it again and remind myself. I wonder if the pew-pew aspect of it went up a little bit. If the action,
I don't think it did.
I think that you think that the budget was already gutted so bad by then they couldn't do anything.
Yeah, because if you look at season 3, just the amount of background people in the hallways and stuff, which it shows you how much money they could put into something. It's basically just the bridge crew and McCoy.
Yeah, a lot of ships in the bottle stuff.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's and a lot of avant-garde, where they really stretched out the style of the set decorations, where everything became so sparse and so thin. that it had its own style. It's interesting. I can't wait. You know, we're supposed to be talking about books.
Books. There are these bound things with paper and words.
I've heard tales of the dead tree format, but I don't believe them. No, you're wrong. They're this thing that you put on your Kindle.
Amazon, ebook. If you haven't bought it, I will cunt punch you. That's a great line.
It's a good line.
Do you read Star Trek novels? I'm sure Swallow has some stories he could tell us.
I love big books and I can't.
That's one of the really good things in life. To me, as long as it's enjoyable to read.
That's a good book. Wasn't it a good book, Mike?
It was.
That's because Mackenzie Calhoun is badass.
No, it is not a Cardassian generational epic.
I was like in heaven.
It's really good.
Right on.
Well, book 2 of These Are the Voyages is out now? Is it out?
It's still in pre-order.
It's in pre-order. Okay, because I know that I have my...
think it's on available on Amazon yet. I think it's still only available through the publisher.
Okay. Jacobs Brown, by the way, people, you can head over to Jacobs Brown Press and pre-order These Are the Voyages book 2, and I'll be interested in seeing what happens as Roddenberry starts to remove himself from the day-to-day in the original series, and then what influences the studio ends up having, not just on budget, but on storytelling.
Yeah, I'm very curious to see how it goes. I think once I finish this, I'm going to just go straight into the second season. So yeah, I'm excited. It's wonderful getting this kind of depth and overview of what they went through in the development of TOS. I mean, it's phenomenal. I want to see this type of treatment given to TNG to
can you imagine the values of that?
Yeah. Oh man, somebody needs to get on that. Please.
Well, Mike,
hey, I'll be glad to give it a go.
Well, speaking of talking about Voyager, and since we're talking about books, I finished Star Trek Voyager Protectors.
Oh,
nice.
Wonderful. That's the new Kirsten Beyer book, correct?
Yes, and it's already, I'm already waiting for the follow-up to that one. Boy, there's a lot of stuff going on, and if you're not reading the Voyager novels, some of it won't make any sense, but there's a lot going on. Janeway is put through kind of a crucible where she has to prove herself that, hey, yeah, you're back from the dead, but are you normal?
Yeah.
Because Admiral Akar, kind of in the distance, and there's just some great stuff that goes on.
Out of curiosity, the timing on this book, is the book pre-fall or post the fall?
Same time.
It's in concurrent? A different part of the universe.
Yeah, it's running concurrent because they are in the they're in the Delta Quadrant. The full circle fleet is in the Delta Quadrant.
Okay, so I guess my question is the president around? Where's Akar in all of this? Because is he dealing with
Nanbako's assassination has not been mentioned.
Okay, it hasn't been mentioned.
It's Akar is he has a few conversations with Janeway, but she's more dealing with Admiral Montgomery on stuff.
Okay.
Because he's the one that with the full circle fleet and everything.
I was just curious because talk about somebody who's probably a little mentally stressed at that point in time would be Akar.
Yeah, no, because they really, it's almost like Voyager, though they have no real reason to talk about because there's the things that are going on in the Delta Quadrant with this fleet, which lost I want to say 5 ships out of the 8 that went out. Yeah, and then, so it's really, she's doing an amazing job with it. And I'll just say that an old friend from the series shows up from Unimatrix Zero, Axum, the guy that Seven.
Oh wow!
Yeah, he's in the books now, and the Cadams that the Kaliar left behind and the former born drones have a play in what things that are happening now. There's a plague that's spreading, and from where former Borg technology was, and do the Cadams have anything to do with it? And so there's that going on, and the Doctor has issues with his programming because Seven is in a relationship with Counselor Hugh Cambridge, and so Dr. Zimmerman creates a patch for his. Yeah, there's just a lot going on that I cannot recommend it enough.
Have fun.
It really is.
Right on.
And speaking of fun, we haven't asked Dayton.
Well, real quick, I did finish the first Typhon book.
The Typhon Pact book?
Yeah, that was really good. I enjoyed it.
That's the one with Bashir?
Bashir and, what's her name?
Serena.
Serena, thank you. And they're
the Breen homeworld?
Yeah, they check out the Breen. Not what I expected from the Breen, but it works.
Yeah, no, it's good.
Yeah.
And I'm currently reading Sins of the Angels now by Linda Poitvian. I hope that's how she pronounces her last name, who I met on social media through the lovely Kelly Metting. It's an urban fantasy, but it's very interesting. I can't even begin to describe it. There's some murders going on, and it's a fallen angel that is doing the murders. And I'm only like on chapter 3, but it's already like I'm engrossed in it.
Right on.
Well, I'm finally picked up, because I was on the airplane again, I finally picked up my where I left off on the Crimson Shadow, which is the second book in Star Trek Fall. So.
Oh my God.
I know.
Terry.
No. I know. But, now that things have settled down a little bit, I'm hoping, and I'm more hopeful that I'll be able to get back into the books again. So I'm excited about that. And speaking of books, you guys, don't forget, we are always looking for additional volunteers to participate in the Book of the Celestial Temple, which is essentially the G&T Show book club. If you have an interest in Star Trek literature, are reading some of the books, would like to read some of the books, again.
Want to talk about some of the books.
Want to talk about the books, please send us a little note. We're kind of in the midst of a revamp on our Book of the Celestial Temple, and trying to find that it's actually cool and yet at the same time pretty frustrating. Most of the people who participate in Book of the Celestial Temple were located all over the world. So our biggest problem right now is finding a time for us to meet to record this where it's not going to be 3 o'clock in the morning for one or more of our participants. So that's kind of what we're dealing with. But so we thank you for those who listen to Book of the Celestial Temple talks. But we are looking for people to want to participate, and give us a heads up if you do. If you've got any interest whatsoever, send us a little note to hosts@gntshow.com and let us know of your interest. And Sorry, we'll get back with you, and hopefully Midnight Shadow will too, and we'll find a way to kind of put some life back into this fantastic.
It's something we really enjoy doing, except the format that we wanted to do, which is different than others, which kind of sets us apart, is we wanted to do a group discussion. So the more the merrier.
Exactly. It's again, it can be we're trying to find a good time to make it happen. By the way, they're only once a month. The meetings are only once a month, so it's not like you have to do something on a weekly basis. Reading a book can take a lot of time, because how long have I been reading The Crimson Shadow now? 6 months.
Well, and speaking of asking of our audience, how are we doing with submissions for the Vegas trailer-thon?
Oh, we've received a few. I actually got a note from, it was Woody Valley who's done his. I've seen his.
I haven't.
He put a link in the Fleet's chat room and said that he was getting it together, and actually it was him that wondered whether or not we'd given you enough time to get this stuff together before the convention. The last day for Foundry authors to get their trailers into us will be, I want to make sure again, July 15th. Is that correct, Mike?
Yep, that works.
Okay. So July 15th is the last day that you can get in touch with us. Again, we're still trying to find a stable way to get trailers to us, because as you all know, some of these files can be pretty hefty, but work with us. Send us a note at hosts@gntshow.com. Let us know that you've got a trailer that you would like for us to put into the reel. That will be shown on the screen at our booth at the Star Trek Las Vegas. I would like to see them between 30 seconds and a minute long. If they have sound and if they have any dialogue whatsoever, we highly recommend that you get them subtitled so people can see what is being said, because it can get very loud in that convention hall in the vendors area. And we would hate for you to spend all of this time on fantastic sound and wonderful voice and then have the person have absolutely no clue what your trailer is about, because they can't hear it. So
the only one I've gotten so far is from Baz.
Yay, Bazzy!
Oh, Stabrific?
Yep.
And Woody Valley did one for his The Floods at Home, and I think P.F. Dennis has quite a few, and I've got some. Mr. Ali Mack needs to get his stuff over, especially for
She's calling you out, Ali.
I still have some business cards of yours, hon. We'll put those on the table again.
Oh yeah, and you know what? We'll talk to people individually about that if they want to send like Big Alley and those if people want to give us for their stuff.
Yeah, if you have
because
print.
we definitely moved a lot of items last year.
Yeah, we did. That is for darn sure.
Speaking of moving items.
Oh God.
We have an Ask Dayton.
Did you see who's here?
No.
Our special guest this week, none other than the man, the myth, the legend, author extraordinaire. Just ask him, Dayton Ward.
Up in here, up in here.
He's delicious.
The man is a sage.
Dayton Ward is here. Hi, Dayton.
Hello, Dayton.
Hello, Newman.
And Mark just handed him his complimentary gin and tonic for the G&T show, so that's always good.
That's good.
Firefly vodka. See, if we knew he was coming, we would have taken him to the green room with the green women.
God damn it, go read the Ask Dayton.
Oh, Dayton.
Oh, Dayton. Dayton Ward is Grumpy Cat.
Dayton Ward, troller of trolls.
He's such a diva.
Pay attention, Ask Dayton fans. Everybody got their pad and pencil ready?
Yes, I'm ready.
Would you like to be a part of the Ask Dayton experience?
Send your questions to hosts@gntshow.com.
Number 95 of Ask Dayton. 95, good year. Little drought, things were better, but dear Dayton, we all know you are a great New York Times best-selling author. Belated congratulations, by the way. But while I was at work this past week, I started listening to a new audio drama called HG World, which had Dayton Ward voicing Chap. So my question for you is, are you the Dayton Ward voicing Chap? And why have you not told your loyal fans that you also have a fascination with doing zombie apocalypse audio dramas? Live long and prosper. Dayton's response. No, that's the other Dayton Ward, the coked-out former CEO of an internet startup company who suddenly woke up one morning and realized that he'd blown all his capital on drugs and hookers. The last I heard, he was working night shift cleaning private booths at an adult video arcade in Abilene, Kansas. Okay, fine, you got me. I'm that Dayton Ward. The voice guy, I mean, not the video arcade dude. Not yet, anyway. I've been told that's because you're
we all have to have
video
goals.
arcades.
We all have to have goals.
Goals.
Ugh. Mike, you may have just made me shiver a little. That tops anything I've ever said. I've been told on occasion I have a voice for radio. Come to think of it, I've also been told I have a face for radio, but that's a different question for another day. Well, wait a minute, wasn't he just last week telling us how pretty he is? To answer your question, I don't know that I'd say I have a fascination for voicing audio dramas, zombie apocalypse or otherwise. How did I come to be involved with HG World? Like so many things, it just sort of happened. The show's creator, Jay Smith, and I have several mutual friends, both in the real world and as well as social media venues like Facebook and Twitter. It was because of that tangled web of online friendships and casual acquaintances that I became aware of the show. A few years ago, Jay had need of a few folks to provide dialogue for a handful of minor characters, and I responded to his request for assistance. After an evening spent yammering into my headset, I was able to provide him with snippets of dialogue he could insert into the episode in production. I ended up doing the same thing for the next episode, after which Jay finally learned the lesson and knew better to ask me to do that sort of thing ever again. But I can add something cool to the end of this little tale. I've actually written for HG World, sort of. A while back, Jay asked me to do a couple of other folks, asked me and a couple of other folks to write scripts for a special series of stories he was planning to do. That actually was my first go at writing a script of any sort, and according to Jay, I didn't fuck it up too badly. So as far as I know, he's still planning to do that once he wraps production on the main series. Stay tuned for updates as appropriate. Meanwhile, I've got the whole Space Marshal Dylan McCade audio series thing to worry about at some point. I'm not writing the scripts for that for the audio adaptations, but the Sci-Fi Commons folks are still expecting me to write the story from which the scripts will spring. I suppose I should get on that shit one of these days.
Yes, you should, Dayton. Thank you very much. That was awesome.
Yay, that was awesome.
Dayton's a very busy
I'm
man.
excited for him. I think that's wonderful. I mean, that's the one thing I've always loved about just the fandom and the greater aspect of, the creative community. All the stuff that they're doing. They're just getting it done.
Keith the Canada was also in that HG World zombie apocalypse series.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
That's cool.
It wasn't just Dayton.
Awesome.
Although, and I do have to say that Dayton, Keith was in more episodes than Dayton.
Hey, I still think it's cool. I had no idea that he was doing.
But you have to understand, Keith somehow operates on a different clock than the rest of the world. He doesn't tire.
No, that man is everywhere doing everything.
I kind of have that impression, though, that, it's funny is that he and David Mack are both in New York, right?
Yes.
I have that impression that they're both almost like perfect representatives of the city. I've never been there, but I'm almost frightened to go. I'm almost frightened to go there because either you have endless energy and and, just that endless, boundless energy that Keith R.A. DeCandido has. Or
you're a drunk psychopath killing everything.
That acerbic, you end up walking away just having that acerbic, cranky kind of
get off my lawn.
The get off my lawn mentality that David
That
Mack
is so
seems
not
to
David
exhibit.
Mack.
Seems to exhibit. I said that. He seems to exhibit that kind of, that stereotypical kind of New York snarl, those are my impressions of what New York is being a total outsider, having no idea what New York is like. It's like you're either going 24/7 with huge amounts of energy, go, and yeah, or you're the person who's burned out on that, and you're just writing your novel with a fifth of whiskey.
I think we need to have Dave and Keith on together to discuss this.
Oh, Lanny got our intro music in. Sorry, Lanny.
Oh. It's Keith's fault.
We'll blame Keith. Now, speaking of Lanny, we do have an announcement, and it's nice to be able to do an announcement for our friends and listeners and supporters of the show.
Yeah, she decided to share it with us, and now
Lanny and I are moving in together.
I'm so happy for you.
Thank you.
I'm going to be putting a link into the chat room. Lanny is, as many of you may or may even not know, Lanny is in the midst of a transition, a gender transition, and is in that point of her transition that she needs a little bit of assistance to help her with some of the associated costs of said transition. So we have agreed and happily support Lanny's request for a GoFundMe, that if any of her friends or listeners of the show want to help her out with those associated costs, the link to the GoFundMe site will be in the chat room, and will be placed in our show, because we love her so very much, and we're so proud of her and everything that she's going through, that I'm just so, I always get chills when I talk about this, because I'm always amazed by the bravery and by her strength. So congratulations to Lanny, our wonderful, and thanks for all of your assistance again in helping us get the Book of the Celestial Temple up and running. And I know that you haven't been participating in a long time, but we understand why. So our love to you, and we're hopeful that you'll be able to meet the goal, so you can get all of this taken care of. We love you. Oh. And yes, have fun living with Nick, because that'll be a peach.
I'm a fucking joy to be around.
Do we have any other?
Of all of this?
Do we have any other announcements?
She doesn't know. Okay. Now she knows. Thanks, Mike. Oh, happy birthday, dear.
Let's see.
No other announcements. Trailers for the Foundry. Lanny's covered. We got the Book of the Celestial Temple. Send us an email if you want to join us. The supplemental log with Janine Spendlove and Brian Young will be posted soon. Talking about Athena's daughters and Apollo's daughters.
See, you guys don't realize that when we do the supplemental logs, it's like 8 or 9 at night, and they can tell you before the guests get there. I'm usually Mr. Cranky Pants who just wants to lay down and go to bed. But this one, I was already excited because Janine I had met her at Farpoint, and she's also an active duty Marine Corps pilot, which is really cool. But her and Brian are like a unmarried couple. Would you guys agree?
Yes. Well, I don't even want to say married couple. You could tell they're definitely very, very good friends.
Yeah, and they're hilarious together. And Brian was the coolest guy in the world up until he became not, with his wrong-headed attitude about something.
Bullshit. I adore him. Another announcement that came
what's his podcast so that we can pimp that?
It is something
Sith.
The Sith.
Hold on, I have it here. 1 second.
Yeah, Mike's got the notes.
And I laughed my ass off because I loved the title of it. It was just
you're full of Sith.
Yeah.
You're full of Sith. That was it. So that's his podcast, his Star Wars podcast. What an awesome name. And also, 17 minutes ago or so, Dayton Ward just tweeted, 23 years ago today, I made the smartest decision in my life. Happy anniversary to my wonderful wife, Michi. Happy anniversary to Mr. Dayton Ward and his lovely wife.
Yes, congratulations.
Michi, I met her when we went to dinner in Kansas City at the Mongolian Grill. She's a strong woman. She's a totally lovely woman. And Dayton is a nice guy. I mean, he's no Kevin, but
We're going to miss them all so much this year, and I'm hoping that maybe we can find a way to talk to them somehow via the wondrous thing that is the internet while we're at STLV and they are at Shore Leave. We have to find a way to make that happen. I'm not sure how it gets done. Maybe if we know somebody that's going to Shore Leave, we can make them a roving reporter.
Unfortunately, I could ask Kelly.
Well,
that'd be awesome.
This is the modern day. We can set up a Skype to Skype, con to con.
Have Kelly Metting though? We need to make this happen.
All right, I'll bribe her.
Cool.
I'll attempt to bribe her. Oh, speaking of which, not only is today the lovely...
Oh, lovely.
Not only is today the lovely Janice's birthday, the very lovely Dawn Metting, Kelly's sister. It's her birthday. And Dawn is truly one of the really cool people I've ever met in my life. So happy birthday, Dawn.
Happy birthday, Dawn. Tomorrow would have been my mother's 74th. And I miss her. I miss having a reason to get crazy on St. Patrick's Day.
Speaking of which, tomorrow's St. Patrick's Day.
Yep.
So, Lanny, you can't see it, but I'm doing the solidarity fisting. But did you hear what's going on out here tomorrow?
In your neck of the woods? No.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, so I was driving with the sunroof open, with the windows down. 4 to 6 inches of snow tomorrow's forecast.
You know what? We got it last night.
Did you finally?
No, we didn't get 4 to 6 inches, but we got cold, wet weather. We actually got rain for maybe 20 whole minutes.
Wow.
That was a big thing.
No, I know. I'm saying wow.
We got rain for 20
That's enough to clear the dust.
It was awesome. Yeah, exactly. It washed everything off. It was great. So
we're looking at another 4 to 6 inches. I know that, 6 inches might be too much for some of you, so hopefully you get the 4.
One of these days there's going to be an assassination attempt on a groundhog. That's all I'm saying.
Yeah, that little prick was right this year.
Yeah, he was.
Cocksucker.
Didn't Bill Murray already try to assassinate a groundhog?
Yeah, he did.
And the result was the day repeated over and over again.
It's true. It's true. Well, again, you guys.
Cass Modine says snow. What is this snow you speak of? Snow is God's cocaine falling on our planet.
Causality is not necessarily linear.
Yeah.
Well, I'm going to go. It's time for me to go. I get to read my new Miss Marvel, #1.
Oh, that's right. This is the one with the Muslim girl, right?
Yeah. This is the new Miss Marvel.
I still don't have it because our store sold out in less than 12 hours.
Wow.
Well, like the guy said, it was in the news and that happened. So he's already ordering, another batch because I was like, wow, I didn't even get a chance to say put it on my pull list.
Wow. Yeah, that's crazy. I remember when they announced it, I went to the comic store that weekend and said, put me on the list now. And I want to say that was, when did they announce it? January? Yeah. I think it was January. So they announced it, maybe even December or November of last year. They announced it. I remember it's been a couple of months. And I was like, put me on the list now because I want that. So, and hopefully I'll have a great weekend, you guys. Thanks for joining us.
Yes, thank you.
And we'll see you next week for episode 135.
You laughed when you said that. Oh, Joe Lundrew.
GNT Show is a busy little beaver production.
Music for the GNT Show is provided by Warp 11, Grethor, 5-Year Mission, and Andrew Allen's Smooth Federation.
Gonna take a 5-year tour. Boldly go where no man's gone before. Gonna travel to the end and make new friends. Move ahead, walk back to 10. Put a mini skirt on my old man. Represent the human race. There'll be no cons or Kobayashi. I'm gonna travel to the end and make new friends with aliens. To boldly go where no man's gone before. Space heavy. I think I sang that line once before, but I'm not too sure. We'll be so happy, can't you see? A zero G.